Media buyers before 2020 would tell you that it's all about the targeting and hitting every stage of the funnel, which is kind of true. But the issue was that they teach you how to optimize for the wrong objective. This is what I mean by this. This is what I was taught years ago. Okay, so do a TOFU, MOFU, BOFU approach. If you don't know what these terms mean, maybe you're new to media buying, it's all good. I don't expect you to know these. The first one is tofu, right? This is different type of tofu than, what you'd eat if you're a vegetarian. But this is where you optimize for awareness, reach, or video viewers. This is top of funnel. That's what that means. The second stage would be MOFU campaign, which is middle of funnel. And this is where people would optimize for traffic, landing page views, consideration, engagement, etc. Things like that. And the last thing, pretty straightforward, BOFU, which is bottom of funnel. This is where people would optimize for leads, they'd optimize for scheduled appointments, optimize for sales, etc. It's a very intuitive approach the way it works. This is the old way to run ads. This approach is not actually effective anymore and leads to a lot of wasted ad spend because Meta puts people in the buckets, right? They know who your link clickers are, they know who your engagers are, and they know who your leads and purchasers are. Whatever objective you optimize your campaign for is what you'll get. And I continuously put this to the test. So, for example, if you optimize for awareness, you're going to get a bunch of people who are going to get awareness and view your ad, or video views. They're going to view your ad, but Facebook knows the people who have intent or not. And so they're probably not going to move forward and actually become a lead. The same goes with, link clickers. If you optimize for traffic, you're like, oh, I'm getting super cheap cost per clicks, things like that. I've gotten, 1,000 page views. Why haven't I converted anyone? Well, you optimize for the wrong objective. Even though it's cheaper for the link click or for the video view than it would be for optimizing for a lead or a purchase, the intent matters, right? Because Facebook puts people in the buckets. So this is what I mean by this. Remember yesterday when I talked about how I saved my client John Jonas $1 million compared to the last agency he was working with? It was because of this very reason of the old agency running ads the tofu, mofu, bofu way with optimizing for the wrong objective, right? Here's the results the previous agency got, and these are just screenshots that I took from their date range. They spent $1.2 million in the given time and resulted in upwards of 300,000 link clicks, so landing page viewers. This resulted in 14,000 leads at around $89 average cost per lead, right? And it resulted in 2,300 purchases at $538 per purchase. Now we got to know what the average order value is and what he's actually purchasing to know, right? So the issue here was the average order value was $89 per $538 purchase. And that's throughout the whole funnel, right? So that's a lot of negative profitability and a lot of spend that was wasted. Just something he was unaware of. He was just like kind of just throwing dollars out. Whenever I came in, the profitable way to run ads is, hey, you tell your market what you want and they'll give it to you. So literally, here's the results we got in just the first month or two. Using the same creatives, we changed up the copy a bit and we did other things. But the main thing that we did was optimize for the right objective, which was leads and sales, right? So we spent $48,000 in the given time, had 16,000 link clicks, generated 4,900 leads at $970 cost per lead. So honestly, a 10x decrease. And the biggest reason for that is like, oh man, that sounds too good to be true. It really is that simple of like, if you optimize for traffic and you spend that much money, there's a reason why he was getting $90 leads. Optimizing just for leads or for purchases or conversions or whatever the end objective is really makes a huge difference. We ended up getting a $54 cost per acquisition instead of, $538. And our average order value increased to $125. So remember, the profitable way to run ads is you tell Meta what you want and they'll give it to you, right? I'm going to get into targeting that may be controversial to some, but all last year and this year, media buyers are always talking about ad creatives, right? Go broaden your targeting and let the creatives and copy do all the targeting for you. Don't worry about which buttons you press in the ad platform. Meta will handle it. They know best. Their AI is improving. It's great stuff, right? So that's what a lot of people are advertising these days. If you've seen other ads or low ticket courses in the space, this is the new perceived way to run ads. And I've put this to the test too, multiple times. And I always split test what others are saying is the next big trend to my own methodologies because, like sometimes I'm proven wrong, stuff like that, right? And all that stuff. I develop my own proven methodologies just by testing, right? And here's the results I got, right? Cheaper clicks, cheaper cost per thousand impressions, but unqualified leads, and a higher cost per sale than the traditional way. If you look at the top campaign that I have there, that's the traditional manual targeting campaign that I was split testing. That's like the proven way that I know to do it. And then on below is the Broad Advantage Plus campaign that everyone preaches, right? You'll notice a few things. If you look at the CPC, which stands for cost per link click, right? So it's more than double the cost the way I did it versus the Broad Advantage Plus campaign was literally $1.36 instead of $3.30, right? But the thing that's different is if you look at the cost per result for per purchase, my cost per purchase is $34 and the broad one was $45. So Meta, they care what's on their platform, right? And the purpose of Advantage Plus and Broad, you might get cheaper clicks and they care about, oh, your click-through rates will go up, your cost per click will go down, things like that. But anything that happens outside of Meta on the actual, on like your website or your funnel or whatever, they don't really care about and measure that. That's all through the metapixel. And so that's just important to know. But I even tested it on another account just to see how the results were. Oh yeah, and here were the results right here. So these are flip-flopped. The broad campaign is up top this time, and the traditional is on the bottom. And honestly, similar results. The broad campaign got a little cheaper cost per lead, but the lead to purchase ratio was less. So it was just a more unqualified lead. But don't let me stop you from testing it down the line, right? If you have a super broad offer, like how to make money online or how to lose weight, then I've seen broader audiences actually be more scalable and more profitable, right? That's the benefit to getting broad targeting to work. It's much more scalable and fatigues a lot slower. But remember, everything with media buying, the typical answer I'll give you is, have you split tested it or have you tested it against each other, right? Every offer and ad account is actually different. There's not a one cookie cutter way for that. So the profitable way to run ads is a hybrid approach of broad targeting and narrow targeting, right? So keep in mind that you need to optimize for the right campaign objective and you need to test between going broad in your targeting versus niche specific targeting.